The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Game Podcast Network is brought to you by Monday Fantasy. Sign the promo code MLB SGPN to score up to $250 in bonus cash. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your second free trial today by going to sportsgame.com. There's RATHMM. And welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Game Podcast Network. It's currently Sunday afternoon, roughly 5 p.m. Eastern Time on August 18th. I'm hosting this episode, Scott Reichel, once again joined by Lonte Smith. And together we're going to break down the 10 games on the Monday card. Lonte, how's it going with you? How's your weekend going?
Scott, I got murdered this weekend, man.
Okay.
Yeah, it was bad. It was pretty. I mean, split the lock and the dog. I think actually both dogs that
We've had the same dog.
Yeah, and I gave out Kansas City for a bonus, but outside of that, man, it wasn't good. I had Trey Turner to hit a bomb. He hits a bomb today instead of yesterday. Yeah, man, it's been a rough weekend for me, but yeah, man, thankfully we got a set of games, new series going on this week, so I'm looking to get back on track here.
Yeah, I ended up going to I went to Penn, actually. Ended up going to Parks Casino for about a day or so. Lost $250 in Pai Gow, and then I played poker on Sunday for like 5 hours. I made a grand total of $11.
Hey, anything positive?
In poker. Made a grand total of $11 in 5 hours. So that's kind of how that went. Just a lot of up and down, just back and forth. I'd say stack fluctuation, but I ended up 11. So point is, yeah, not exactly the best weekend for me either. So I know where you're coming from there. Do know that we both won the dog for the Saturday card. We both had the A's on the money line, and they got there. Bitto was great, gave up no runs as they won about, I think it was 2-0. Besides that, though, lost my lock. I had the over in the Phillies game. Gore wasn't great. Sanchez was, so the over just didn't get there. And my home run pick was the Yankees' forgotten slugger, Giancarlo Stanton, and they proceeded to not score a single run against pretty underwhelming pitcher on Saturday. So not exactly great, but it is what it is, and we'll try to bounce back. Montero shutting out the Yankees, though, is just painful, but either way.
Disgusting.
It was disgusting. But yeah, we'll see what happens anyway for the Monday card. Looking at the actual card for Sunday, though, just briefly talking about what's happened so far. Overall, you've had a couple of competitive games, some games that are lopsided, most notably the Mariners game, as they were beating Pittsburgh by like 8 runs or so midway through the game. Tampa, though, choked away a decent lead, as they were actually leading in the last couple innings, and they blew it, as now they're tied 7-7. In extras, Tampa actually was up 6-0 in the 7th inning, and they gave up 1 run in the 7th, 2 runs in the 8th, and 3 runs in the 9th inning, which is pretty tough to do. So pretty bad choke job there. Baltimore won, beating Boston, so they ended up not getting swept. That was a good job by them to salvage something from that series. The Phillies lost to the Nationals at the finale. Houston beat the White Sox. The Brewers beat the Guardians 2-0. The Dodgers won. Kershaw was good today. They won 2-1. Toronto won 1-0. So a couple of low-scoring games. Atlanta's up 4-0. Atlanta's up 2-0 right now in the 4th. The Padres are tied 1-1 with the Rockies. So, yeah, once again, games that are still being decided. It looks like Tampa's about to win against Arizona just by blowing a 6-0 lead as they base loaded with no outs in the bottom of the 11th. Anyway, any news stories you want to talk about, or should we just move on to the Monday games?
No, I think you pretty much hit on it. Let's get on to the new.
Yep. All right. So before we get into the actual card for Monday, do want to remind you once again that we do have a special deal going on with the merch store. Everything in the merch store is 10% off with promo code football. Personally, I'd recommend getting something MLB Gambling Podcast related. We have some shirts, tank tops, a lot of different options. Check out the merch store because you do get 10% of everything if you use the promo code football. Anyway, getting into the actual card here for Monday. First game that we're going to talk about is going to be a matchup between the Diamondbacks, who are probably about to lose to Tampa, taking on the Marlins. And for this one, you have an interesting pitching matchup because you only have one pitcher. You have Fod against undecided. For this one, Arizona's about -205. You see Miami at about +172. For the over-under, you have around 8. Slight juice of the over, though, at -115. So, Lonte, I'm going to ask you, Fod's been pretty good this season. Going through his numbers, he is currently 7-6, 3.98 ERA. We know that Miami doesn't have a listed pitcher. They were able to win the finale against the Mets on Sunday. Any thoughts on this one? Is it Arizona a pass, or do you think Arizona's kind of slumping, and now you're kind of tempted by Miami at +1?
Yeah, I think they'll get out of the slump. Obviously, it kind of depends on who pitches as far as if the price is going to go up or down. But I mean, I'm leaning towards Arizona. Miami did beat them 2 out of 3 head to head this year. All of those are low scoring games. Arizona, they struggled versus Tampa. I was slightly concerned. I thought this would be a big series for them to kind of get things, keep the momentum going. They got short travel, so it's not much, going on here. I think they'll bounce back. Miami's offense had looked good prior to the Mets series. They scored 6 runs in 3 games, and I forgot what they scored today. I think 4 they scored today. But yeah, I like Fott. He's been inconsistent the last few starts though, but he's pitched better on the road. 3 runs or less in 5 straight on the road. So yeah, I think he'll be fine on the road. Maybe want to look at a strikeout prop for him. Outside of that, I don't want to lay 200. I would rather just lay a team total over or a run line.
Yeah. By the way, if you're referring to the Marlins, they scored 3 today.
3, yeah. So okay, that's fine.
They won 3-2. So point is, I think for this one, I mean, $2 is $2 though. Arizona really had a horrible weekend against Tampa. So I guess the question is, do I think they bounce back or not? And they are about to get swept. Tampa might blow it. You never know. It was 7, once again, bases loaded, no outs, bottom of the 11th in a tie game. So they should probably end up losing that game. Getting swept by Tampa is a bad look. And I do think that Miami's been kind of feisty. I might actually take the plus money in this one. I just really don't want to lay 205. You could argue the run line, but I don't know. Miami's been kind of competitive at home recently. I think 172 is a decent price. I'll go a little bit contrarian. Give me Miami on the money line in this one. Moving on to the next game, you have the Reds taking on the Blue Jays. For this one, the over-under in this game is around 8. So I just the over, though, at about minus 122. And the Blue Jays are minus 168. You see the Reds are plus 142. For the pitching matchup, you have a good one. You have Gausman against undecided. So we'll see who's pitching for the Reds. Might be Hunter Green, so keep an eye out for that. But Gausman was good the last time out as he pretty much shut down the Angels. The last start, he ended up having 7 innings and no runs against the Angels. Last 2 starts, 15 innings, 2 total runs allowed. Assuming that it's not going to be Gausman versus Green, and it's going to be Gausman against somebody else. I'm assuming you want Toronto, or is the juice a bit too high because you'd be forced to be laying 170 or so with the Blue Jays, who are not very good at baseball?
Yeah, I probably would just go first 5. They put Hunter Green on the IL, I think 15-day IL, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so it was supposed to be, and now they don't really have an option. So Toronto's returning home from 2 straight road series. They were 2-3 in the last 5 at home. But Gausman, I would rather have him on the road, to be honest. He's been better on the road, but he hasn't lost a start since July 5th. He's pitched deep into games, 7 innings or more, and 5 of his last 6. Does have some walk issues, concerned about that, but I trust Toronto to kind of get things going early with Gausman on the mound. Cincinnati got killed by Kansas City this weekend. I mean, they got outscored 21-2 in the first 2 games. Was it like 13-0 in like the 3rd inning yesterday?
Right.
Or something?
Yeah, it was horrible. So, and now they got to go on the road to Toronto. I think Toronto could be in for a big series here. Don't want to lay that big number. I'd rather go first 5.
Yeah, I think my play is going to be simple here. Give me Ellie De La Cruz stolen base. You could argue for the Red stolen bases in general. Gausman still allows a decent amount of stolen bases. He's gotten better at it as season has gone on. So it appears that Jansen was part of the reason why. But Gausman is one of the worst in the league at keeping runners on. Burns is the worst. I believe Gausman is either 2 or 3. But we know the Reds can steal a bunch of bases. They have a lot of speed. We know Ellie's going to try to steal 2nd and 3rd and maybe home if he gets bored anytime he gets on base. So I do think that the stolen base prop might be worth a look here for the Reds. Shout out to Gausman, though. I took Zach Neto to steal a base against him last start, and he stole a base in the 1st inning, and that helped me make $1,100. So can't complain. Hopefully, maybe Ellie ends up stealing one again. Should be in the, I'd say, mid to low 100s if I had to guess. Should be plus money, though. So I don't mind Ellie stolen base. If he ends up getting on base once, he's going to try to steal. So point is, I do think you're looking at a spot for Ellie to make his presence known after having a pretty quiet weekend since Kansas City was dominating every single game. Moving on, though, to the next game on the card. Going to look at a matchup between the Orioles and the Mets. Orioles did a good job salvaging the series against the Red Sox. The Mets were not able to get the sweep as they ended up losing to the Marlins 3-2. At 1st and 2nd, no outs, and McNeil couldn't get a bunt down, and at that point, the whole inning unraveled. But you have Rogers going up against Peterson. For this one, you have Baltimore being around plus 116. You have the Mets at about minus 134. For the over-under, you have around 8 or 8.5. Well, I'm going to ask you, the Orioles traded for Trevor Rogers, and he has not been very good. And you're looking at Peterson, who's been solid. Now, Baltimore, of course, the better team record-wise. Based on recent form, they've been kind of up and down. The Mets have been hovering as well, but I think Peterson's the better pitcher. So I think I'm going to lean Mets here. I mostly just don't want anything to do with Trevor Rogers. I'm sure the Mets have seen him before, decent amount, because he was pitching for Miami, obviously. But I can't trust Rogers. He's been really bad. I'm not going to bother. Give me the Mets.
Yeah, I don't trust Rogers. I don't want to lay this number with the Mets full game, even though Peterson's been good. So I'll go first 5. Rogers, man, just high contact rate, walk issues. He's got a low K rate as well. I maybe look at his Ks to go under. Peterson's been excellent, 2 earned runs or less in 8 of his last 9. He's also had walk issues, so maybe he's slightly leaning to the over. He's walked 3+ batters in 7 of his last 10. So if, both guys are going to put guys on and don't trust Rogers as far as control issues and, limiting contact, I think we can get over the number. So I'll lean over. I love the first 5 for the Mets also.
Yeah, I think I'd lean to the over as well, looking at the number being about 8.5. So, yeah, I'd probably lean that way. I think each team can get the 4, so I'll go with the over in that one. Moving on to the next game, matchup between the Pirates and the Rangers, which is basically a meaningless series because Pittsburgh fell apart and Texas won a ring, so they're still hungover. But you're looking at Ortiz pitching against undecided for this one. For the actual money line price, you have Texas at -126. You have Pittsburgh at +108. The over-under is around 8.5. So Ortiz has had a pretty decent year. He's 5-3, 3.42 ERA. Also randomly has a save in there. The last couple outings, though, he's been fine for the most part. The last 2 starts, he has gone 11 innings, 6 runs, so not the best. Pittsburgh has lost 4 straight for him, though, so they haven't exactly gotten much run support. I don't know who's pitching for Texas. I have no idea. By the way, Tampa did blow it. They had bases loaded with no outs in the 11th. They didn't score. So they're going
I got Arizona, so maybe I'll savage a little bit.
Yeah,
maybe
I'll
win
Arizona lived. So, yeah, they're going to the 12th. Point is, though, for this matchup, I don't know who's pitching for Texas, but Pittsburgh's been so bad.
Yeah.
They've been awful. I just have a hard time backing them at any decent price. I'll take Texas at like -125, give or take. You?
Yeah, I lean that way. I actually would like to fade both teams. Pittsburgh, they look good in the first 2 games, 12 runs versus 12 runs in the first 2 games versus Seattle. Obviously got smoked today. Texas, did they win that? Are they winning that game right now? Because they were down 4-0 versus Minnesota.
Currently, it's 5-5 in the 9th.
Yeah, so they are trying to avoid a sweep. They're 2-8 the last 11. They lost their last 4 at home, but I think they bounced back. Pittsburgh's pretty bad. Ortiz, 7 home runs allowed and 15 earned runs in his last 4 starts. He has faced a tough slate of offenses, but I think Texas maybe can get to him here. So maybe you lean to Texas team total over, but I think Texas is the right side here.
Yeah, I think this is one of those games where I probably would play the toilet bowl sound effect if this is basketball, because this is definitely a toilet bowl, but unfortunately we don't have that sound effect for baseball. Pittsburgh was decent for, I don't know, about half the season, which is usually half more than they are competitive. So that's a progress. They're not any good, but neither's Texas. So, yeah, this might be a go-to-a-meeting game. Like, if you want to back a team, have fun, but there are 9 other games to choose from. I probably wouldn't pick something from this game. Moving on to the next game, and look at a matchup between the Angels and the Royals. Now, this one should be interesting because the pitching matchup is definitely something, because Fulmer's pitching for the Angels. You have Lugo pitching for the Royals. For the actual money line here, Kansas City, no surprise, -205. You have the Angels at about +172. For the actual total, you have 9 as the total. We saw Kansas City win again comfortably today against the Reds, as they are currently, they won 8-1 in that game on Sunday. As to the Angels, they're currently down 2-0 against the Braves. So for this matchup, we know Lugo has been kind of a mixed bag recently. He's either really good or really bad, and that's kind of been the story for him for the last month or so. Last start, he was awful against Minnesota, 4 innings, 8 runs, 7 earned. So not good. Start before that was not very good against Boston, 5 1/3, 4 runs. Start before that, though, 8 innings, 1 run. So once again, he's kind of been up and down. He's allowed at least 6 runs, though, in 3 of his last 4. So not exactly in good form for him. However, the Angels can hit. So that could be a saving grace for him. Fulmer's been fine for the most part. He's 0-3, 4.22 ERA. Surprisingly decent. I didn't think he'd be even this effective, I guess, if you want to put quotes around it. He was pretty bad against Toronto last time out, though. 3 innings, 5 runs, 2 home runs allowed. However, it doesn't go much length, which is a problem in general. So, yeah, the question is, do I want to lay 205? Not really. I think I'd rather take the over. Lugo might pitch well, and I know the Angels can't really hit, but when you give up 6+ runs in 3 of your last 4 and you're laying 205, I have a hard time fully trusting you. Maybe Angels team total over, but I think that the Royals showed a lot of offensive, I'd say, just strength against the Reds over the weekend. So I'm going to lean to the over, actually. I think you're going to see some runs. Fulmer might be decent, but he goes pretty short in most of these starts, and Kansas City knows better at home than on the road offensively. So I am going to go with the over in this game. Dangerous because the Angels can't really hit, but I don't want to lay 205 with Lugo. So I'll go with the over.
Yeah, I'm leaning to the under, but I would much rather play just the Kansas City team total over. Kansas City, they won 4 in a row, 24-3 margin in the last 3. That's not including today. They went 2-3 of the last 5 at home. The offense was there, kind of pitching wasn't, and that goes to what you were saying about Lugo. Just hasn't been good during his last 5. You brought up the numbers. Fulmer, I'm worried about the length. If he gets to that bullpen, I think Kansas City can have all kinds of success there. The reason I want to slightly go under, I think Kansas City can do a lot of damage, but I don't think the Angels can. I mean, they haven't scored over 3 runs in 5 straight. So yeah, I would rather play
that's not including today, by the way.
Not including today. Yeah, not including today. Yeah, so I think Kansas City can do most of the damage. So I would probably go team total over. Lean under. I think you maybe can get like a 6-1, 6-2 type of game.
Yeah, that's fine. Either way, though, before we get into the next game on the card, want to remind you once again, they're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, because if you play the Underdog Pick'em, then you have a chance to win 1,000 times your entry. Or play fantasy football the right way with Best Ball Mania. Best Ball Mania is now live with $15 million in prizes, United Specials and boosts on all flex entries. And for my choice for the underdog option, I'm trying to think of what I might like for one of the WNBA games, because I know that most of them started already. I actually didn't mind. What was I going to go with here? I know I was giving out Diggins Smith higher for PA, but unfortunately that game started already. Point is, though, you have WNBA and you have some other options. If you want to go for Caitlin Clark options in her next game, that could be worth something, because she's been incredible recently. So keep that in mind. You have baseball, you have WNBA, you have tennis, a lot of different sports to cover that Underdog has options for you. Plus, they have football, and I'm sure they have college football too. Point is, though, sign the promo code MLB SGPN to claim your special pick and a first-time deposit offer. After bonus cash on Fantasy promo code MLB SGPN. We're also brought to you by Circuit Survivor and Circuit Millions. Circuit Sports is back with Circuit Survivor and Circuit Millions, giving away $16 million guaranteed prizes. And if you don't have to book it for Las Vegas for football, what are you waiting for? Ultimate Cuts Weekend is a great time to go. You can have the Ryan and Sean and enjoy something from Barvin, the World of Sports from August 22nd through the 24th. Use promo code SGP15, save you 50% of your hotel room for sign-up weekend. A reminder, if you're going to be doing the contest, either one, you have to sign up in person at Circuit Sports between now and December 7th, and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We have a deal with the proxy. If you go to proxy.thefootballcontest.com, we can save you $50 with the promo code SGP, and you also get a free hat. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. Just finished getting into the Royals game. Time to keep it rolling with a fun matchup between two most likely teams to finish above 500 this season. You have the Red Sox against the Astros. For this one, you have a matchup between Houck and Kikuchi. For this one, the Astros are about -134. The Red Sox are about +114. And for the over-under, you have 7.5. Now, Houck this season, his numbers are fine. 8-8, 3.01 ERA. However, want to go through the last couple starts because he's been good the last 2. He was kind of struggling before that, but Boston has been really bad in his outing. So the last 2 starts, 12 2/3, 3 runs allowed. So he's been fine. However, Boston has lost 5 straight starts that Houck has made, so I don't know if I actually trust the Red Sox to show up for this game. However, the Astros really did not look good against the White Sox the entire weekend. So I'm curious how they're going to look in this one. They're 10 games over, so they're still winning games, but it has not exactly been pretty for this team. Kikuchi, though, has been good since they traded for him, as he's made 3 appearances, allowed less than 3 runs in all 3 outings. So far, so good. Not going much length, but he's still being effective. I'm going to ask you, because Boston was pretty good this weekend with the exception of the game on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you like in this one? Because I don't know if I actually want to lay this with Kikuchi. I recognize that Houck has not gotten many wins recently, but 134 I do think is actually kind of expensive because Boston's been in decent form. I'm going to lean to Boston.
Yeah, I like Houston here. I like the way Kikuchi's kind of been in better form. I mean, if you look at his last 8 with Toronto, he had a 7.76 ERA. He's since then, you just mentioned it, 5 earned runs in 3 starts. So he's been going pretty well. 8+ Ks in 2 of those 3 starts. So I think he's had everything going. It feels good when you can actually have a competent offense behind you. I think he's 10 earned runs in his last 2 road starts, so he has been struggling there. He does have 17 quality starts, which is tied for 4th in the MLB. So he's good, but I don't know if he, like, lately he just hasn't been as good. I mean, his ERA is right around 4 since July. He's got a 22-21 ratio as far as K to walk, so that hasn't been there. I wasn't impressed with Houston at all. I mean, losing that first game at home to the White Sox, I mean, yeah, that was bad. But Houston's pretty much owned this team. I mean, they won the last 6 head-to-head. The 3-0 this year. 2 of those were by 4+ runs. I don't trust Boston's bullpen. Don't trust their fielding. I think Houston can get it done. So I like the 134.
Yeah, I think I'm going to stay away mostly from this game. I'm just trying to find some value. I just think the line should be closer, in my opinion. But yeah, if you want to go with Houston, I don't mind it. I just was kind of hoping to see more from Houston over the weekend, where they lost the opener. They ended up winning the next 2 games. They won the series. It wasn't as bad. It was kind of what the Yankees did earlier in the week. But Houston really didn't score as much as I thought they were going to. And Bush did a good job against them, and I think Bush stinks. That's probably not a good sign for Houston, but still got the job done either way. Moving on to the next game, you have the Twins taking on the Padres. For this one, looking at the current scores, you have the Twins tied 5-5 in the 10th inning now. And the Padres are down 3-1 to the Rockies, but they seem to always struggle in Colorado. Anyway, you have Matthews pitching against King. For this one, the Padres are about -152. Twins are about +128, and the over-under in this game is around, just trying to find it, it is at 7. Now, Matthews, a relative unknown, kind of showed up at the last second, and he was pretty good in his first outing. 1 outing this season, 5 innings, 2 runs. So nothing that was earth-shattering, but he won 13-3. So nice to get a win in your MLB debut. King, though, has been incredible for about 2 months straight, if not longer. And the Padres, we know at home, are still solid. Minnesota on the road is fine. But 152, does that feel a bit cheap to you? Because I understand that they're losing right now to Colorado. They might lose the series, but King has been incredible, and Matthews has 1 start. I have a hard time of not... I just thought he'd be a bigger favorite. I thought that King would be like -165, -170. 152 feels a bit cheap to me. I don't know if I agree about the 7. I don't know what Matthews we're going to get, but I'll lean San Diego here. I just think that this price feels a bit cheap, and you're looking at Minnesota going to extras. They had to burn a lot of the bullpen. So I like San Diego in the spot. Matthews might only go 5. Minnesota used a lot of relievers today, and they're not done using relievers. So I'll go with San Diego.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I'll probably just stay away. I like the over 7. I mean, Minnesota had their way with Texas, obviously. They've won 4 in a row, not including today. They're 5 over on the road, or 6 over on the road. San Diego's been really good, but they take advantage of a weak schedule. This will be the toughest opponent in the past, like 3 or 4 series. They scored 11.1 combined runs per 9 in the last 10. Both teams hitting the ball pretty well. So I think we can get over that 7. I mean, Matthews, obviously small sample size. King's been good. But the offense of Minnesota has been really good as well. So I think we can get over this number. Both teams score 4 runs. Maybe we can get one team to score 5 or 6. So I think we can get over this number.
7 just feels so low because if each team gets to 3, automatically push. Worst case scenario. You're either pushing or winning. You're free rolling. Exactly. So I think each team get the 3. King, I think, should pitch well. If you like San Diego, I might not mind. I mean, San Diego's bullpen's good too, though. I was going to say San Diego first 5 -0.5, but I think you actually want the bullpens involved because San Diego has Suarez and Scott, who have been solid, and the Twins have Duran, who's been fine, but they have used a lot of relievers today. So they might be a bit shorthanded in the pen, so keep that in mind. Either way, though, looking at the next matchup, you have the Rays taking on the Athletics. Both teams are still playing. The Rays were on the verge of sweeping the Diamondbacks. They have first and third, 1 out in the 12th. Arizona did not score in the top of the 12th, so maybe they will complete the sweep in the next 5 minutes. As for Oakland, they're tied 0-0 in the 6th inning against the Giants, so we'll see what happens here. Not a shock. It was Snell against Sears. What did you expect? Opponent, though, it's 0-0 in that one, so we'll see how those 2 games unfold. But you have Bradley going up against Boyle. The Rays are -145. The A's are about +120. And the over-under in this game is set at around 8. Now, Bradley was really good for about a month or 2. And then recently, not so much. He's been shelled in 3 straight. So looking at the last couple of starts, 5 innings, 4 runs against the Marlins, 4 2/3, 5 runs against the Cardinals, 4 1/3, 6 runs against the Astros. So really not good in his last 3 outings. As for the other option in this game, you have Boyle, who's been awful all season long. He's 2-5 with a 7.39 ERA. He has made one appearance since May, and it was against the Mets on Tuesday, and he went 4 innings, gave up 4 runs. So both pitchers don't really do much for me. Tampa officially did win via walk-off. That game's over, so Tampa did get the sweep. For this one, though, I mean, I think I'm leaning Tampa just based on their current form. They did sweep Arizona, who's one of the hotter teams in the league. That's a good series, but Bradley, I think, is better, but I'm going to lean to the over. I just don't trust either pitcher, and I do think Oakland, despite being a pretty average, I'll put it this way, they're below average offensively, but at home they're decent. It's good enough for me. Bradley's been struggling. I don't trust Boyle at all. So give me the over in this game. I think you might see a pretty underratedly high-scoring game.
Yeah, I love the over. Lean to Tampa. Tampa cost me a lot of money this weekend with that sweep against Arizona. But yeah, Boyle.
It came out of nowhere. But good.
Yeah,
for them.
It did. But yeah, good for them. Tampa won 2-1 head-to-head. All of those were pretty much close games. But I think Boyle is just horrible, man. You mentioned all his numbers. He's got a 17.1% walk rate through his first 31 2/3 innings. So I mean, Tampa is patient at the plate, obviously disciplined. I think they'll be able to get on base and score. I like maybe Tampa a team total over as well, but full game over. I think both teams can get to 4 runs here, and then we get over that number. I think we see maybe a 7-6, 7-5 type of game.
Yeah, I just think this line feels a bit short based on the current form of these pitchers. But I definitely prefer Tampa over Oakland in this game if I had to choose a side. Moving on to the next game, you have the White Sox taking on the Giants. Once again, Giants are tied 0-0 in the 6th, while you're looking at the White Sox, who lost to the Astros. Not a shock, but they won a game in the series. That counts for something. A point is, though, for the matchup, you have Cannon against Harrison. For this one, the Giants are about minus 205. The White Sox are about plus 172. For the over-under, you have 7.5. Now, Cannon this season has been fine for White Sox pitching standards because the bar's been set pretty low. He was not good last time out, 4 2/3, 3 runs against the Yankees, but he was good before that. Three straight starts allowing less than 3 runs. So he was in good form, kind of came back down to earth a bit against the Yankees, but he has been fine. I know that Mal loves betting his first 5 money line price because he tends to have a lead in the first 5 innings at some point. As for the Giants, you have Harrison, who's been kind of up and down this season. He was on the IL for a bit too. 6-5 with a 4.14 ERA. Did give up 3 runs in 5 innings against the Braves last time out. Start before that, 4 2/3, 2 runs against the Nationals. 3 2/3, 6 runs against the Reds. So once again, not really great by Harrison. I think I'm going to lean to the White Sox, actually. I really don't want to lay 205 here. I just feel like this line's too big when both pitchers, you can make an argument, are comparable, at least based on ERA. The White Sox, I know, are bad. They won a game against the Yankees. They won a game against the Astros. They've been more competitive recently, which is code word for they're still losing, but at least they're not embarrassing themselves out there. The Giants, I still think, are a very streaky team who have the ability to go on runs, and then they immediately fall apart afterwards. But we saw them lose 3-4 against the Braves at home. They've been struggling a bit against Oakland, and they might be on the verge of losing this game as well. We'll see what happens. But I don't really like the current form of the Giants, and I think 205 is too big of a price. So bold call, give me the White Sox.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with the White Sox first 5. That's going to be one of my better plays on the card. San Francisco struggling against righties in their last 10, hitting right around 210, 3.3 runs per 9. Cannon, I mean, really good on the road, 2 or less in 4 of his last 6 road starts. He's pitching deep in the game, so he's going 6+ in 6 of his last 7. 3 earned runs or less in 4 straight. So, I mean, he's been fine. But, I mean, I don't trust Harrison. 6 home runs in his last 3. He's got multiple walks in 4 of his last 7. Doesn't go much length at all. And depending on how this game goes tonight, we don't want to sit, or this afternoon, we're not sure how much of the bullpen they'll use. So, man, yeah, I like the White Sox in the first 5. I would lean to them full game as well with you, but the first 5 is one of my favorite plays on the card.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Moving on to the last game on the card, making good time. You have the Mariners taking on the Dodgers. Dodgers did a good job this weekend against the Cardinals, while the Mariners were pretty good against Pittsburgh because you're against Pittsburgh, so you better be good. Looking at the actual series, though, you end up... Actually, no, they weren't. Mariners lost 2 out of 3. I thought they might have won one of the first 2 games. They did not. So not a great series for Seattle, but they did salvage the final game. As for the Dodgers, did they sweep the Cardinals, or they won 2 out of 3?
No, they won 2 out of 3.
Okay. They ended up losing the game on Saturday. They won the game on Sunday. Point is, though, for this actual pitching matchup, you have an interesting one because of a matchup between Miller against Buehler. For this one, you have the Dodgers at minus 146. You have the Mariners at plus 124. For the over-under, you have 8. I'm not going to spend really any time on this. Why the hell is Buehler favored in a baseball game? He's been terrible the entire year. He came back off the IL. He still sucked. 1-4, 5.58 ERA. I know Miller's a lot better at home than on the road. At least I believe he is. He's still been good. 9-7, 3.29 ERA. And the last couple starts, he's given up no runs in his last 13 innings. So I don't mind the Mariners' first 5 here. But Buehler has been objectively bad for basically the entire year. And nothing's really changed. So I'm going to fade the Dodgers here. Them being minus 146, I find kind of offensive. Give me the Mariners. I know that Miller's road numbers are not very good. Maybe like the over in this game. But Buehler should not be laying about 150 based on current form against Miller. I think that's a bad price. In my opinion, I think it should be closer to like minus 120 based on talent. But I'll go with Seattle here. Buehler's too big of a favorite.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like the first 5 even more. I actually handicapped the wrong pitchers. I thought it was going to be Wu versus Stone, so they must have switched that up on me. Third straight road series for Seattle. They were
you might be right, by the way. I mean, ESPN just sometimes has the wrong pitchers, but
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's fine. I'm not going to be going in depth about those. I like the Seattle first 5 regardless of who's pitching. I mean, the Dodgers coming back from a road trip. Obviously, they're good at home. Seattle 9-0 on the road, so I don't want to take them full game. So I think early on in the matchup, they'll be able to settle in. So I'm going Seattle first 5. I would lean to the over as well.
Okay, so I ended up refreshing. Sorry, so Miller and, to correct myself, Miller and Buehler are pitching on Tuesday. That's my bad. So for the pitching matchup, sorry, you have Wu against Stone. Thank you for correcting me there. Dodgers are about minus 150. Mariners are about plus 125. Wu has been solid this season, 5-1, 2.06 ERA. He's had some injury issues, but he's been going length. He's allowed no runs in 3 of his last 4 starts. So he's been really solid. 3 runs in his last 4 starts combined. So he's been solid. As for Stone, I'm not the biggest fan. I know his numbers are fine. Does give up a decent amount of home runs, at least recently. So I don't really trust him either. Last couple starts, though, he was good against the Brewers on the road. 5 innings, 1 run. Was not very good the last 3 starts before that, as he gave up 12 runs in his last 3 starts combined before that Milwaukee start. So, ironically, even though I was looking at the wrong pitching matchup for Tuesday, I still like the Mariners.
Yeah.
I don't trust Stone enough, and Wu's been good. I'll go with Seattle first 5.
Yeah, I love the first 5. And now that it is Wu, I mean, in August, he's got a 1.31 ERA, 0.73 whip. He's coming in this game with 11 scoreless on the road. Stone, I thought, was undervalued early on. I think he probably could have made a case he was the best pitcher in that lineup as far as consistent was.
Keeps giving up home runs.
Yeah, he's allowed a home run in 7 straight, just to your point. But he has faced a tough straight of offenses. I mean, he's faced Milwaukee, Philadelphia twice, Baltimore, Boston, Houston, Arizona. So he's faced a gauntlet of offenses, and this obviously is a step down in competition. So I would go with the first 5, but I think maybe, he could have a good day because he's pitched against these offenses and been up and down, but this is obviously one of the bottom tier offenses in the league. So he could have some success. So I'm going to go first 5. Maybe we get, a 1-0 Seattle win here in the first 5.
Yeah, I think it might be a bit low scoring, but hopefully Raleigh hits a home run. Somebody on Seattle hits a home run. They got Rodriguez back in the lineup. Maybe Julio takes him deep. What does Julio have, like 3 home runs this season? I forgot what the hell Julio even is. I actually want to pull that up out of curiosity because I know that he's been one of the more underwhelming players in the entire league for the entire season. He's also injured. He has 11. I do not remember about 10 of them. So apparently he's at 11 now. Good for him. I was kind of joking, but now he's at double digits. So either way, though, I'll link to Seattle first 5. I think Wu can pitch well. Probably lean to the full game under in this one. I think Seattle's still going to be home run dependent, but I still don't trust their bats. So I'll link to the under in that one. Either way, though, that's going to wrap it up for the actual card for Monday. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks and the home run pick. But for any of that one, remember once again that we are. Wait, did I do all the reads?
Yep, you did.
No, I didn't. I did the first read. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
The second one are brought to you by Rhythm. Football season is here, and college football and the NFL models are now live with Rhythm. A reminder, college football starts next Saturday. You have week 0. 4 games on the card. Lonte, you excited to see Nevada probably get destroyed by about 30 points?
I'm excited to take the points with Georgia Tech.
Okay. That's going to be in Ireland, right, against Florida State?
Yep.
Yep. So if you want to bet on those games, Rhythm has you covered too. You can create your own betting model, or you can let Rhythm do it for you. You can decide what stats matter to you, and Rhythm can help you build a custom model around it, or just let Rhythm and its predictive model do the heavy lifting. You could also look at their AI projections from data scientists, and they also have you covered for week 1 of the NFL season and college football week 0. A reminder, claimers that in future all the day by going to sportsgambits.com Rhythm, sportsgambits.com/RITH. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Since it is the baseball podcast, I might as well remind all of you that Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace for for the MLB, which makes getting tickets even easier and faster. And a reminder, price on the Game Time app actually go down closer to game time. And a reminder that they have killer last-minute deals, all in prices used from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time does take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. My favorite feature is the image of seat views, which, of course, let you see the view you would be getting from a seat before you spend your actual money. So you can avoid obstructions or bad views. You can always make sure that you get the best seat possible for your money instead of spending money and then realizing that you made a terrible mistake. A reminder, though, that when you do end up getting into Game Time and you try to check it out, download the app, create an account, use code SGPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code SGPN for $20 off. Download the Game app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. Just finished going through the entire Monday card. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks. Lonte, I'm going to let you go first. What is your lock and dog for the Monday card?
Yeah, so for the lock, man, I'm going to go to Houston. I think they're in good form. Obviously, they underperformed at home against the White Sox. Actually lost one of those games, but I think they bounced back here with Kikuchi. I think they have a good showing over the series. Don't trust Boston's bullpen. Don't trust Boston on the road. Don't trust their fielding. So yeah, I like Houston to kind of get it done here. -134 is, I think, the best number I see. Yeah, I just don't trust Boston right now. I think Houston's in better form. They've had their number over the past few games, 3-0 this year. 2 of those were about 4+ runs. So I might even lay a run line as well, even though we're only getting 8 at bats potentially. So yeah, I like Houston -134 for the lock. For the dog, I don't think first fives have came out yet, but I'm going with the White Sox first five. I'll take Cannon. Obviously, he's been really good on the road, 2 or less in 4 of 6. San Francisco's struggling versus righties. They're in a tight game right now, so I think they're going to burn a little bit of that bullpen as well. So I think the White Sox can get it done, man. It's not much. I think it's not a lot of travel here. They are in Houston, Houston and San Francisco. Not too bad, but yeah, but they're should already be halfway there. So yeah, I like White Sox first 5. Give me Cannon with the plus money.
Yeah. So for me, I'm trying to think of what I want to go with for this card. There are a lot of games that I was close to pulling the trigger on, but the question is, do I actually want to? Am I actually going to give out Toronto? I might actually do it. Give me Toronto first 5, -0.5 as my lock. Gausman's been good, and I mentioned before I like Ellie stolen base, but at the end of the day, if Green's on the IL and he's been one of the hottest pitchers in the league, I don't really trust anybody else in this entire rotation. And we saw them get curb stomped by the Royals the entire weekend. So we know the Reds can be a streaky team. So can Toronto. Toronto's not good, but Gausman's actually been getting some good results. I think that they've won, 5 straight starts of his? I think 6 straight starts.
Yeah. He hasn't lost since early July.
So it's a good spot for him. You're looking at the Reds scoring a grand total of 1 run per game in the 3-game set at home against Kansas City. They lost 7-1, 13-1, and 8-1. So I'll pass based on how they're playing. So give me Toronto. I think Gausman can pitch well, and I think that the Reds' offense has kind of fallen off a cliff. Toronto has been performing decently at the plate, mostly because of Vlad Jr. They have a couple guys that have been stepping up. I know it's dangerous because I basically not taken the Blue Jays as a lock or dog play for probably 2 years, but I like the spot based on the Reds' bullpen potentially being an issue and based on the Reds' offense currently struggling. But with Green going on the IL, that was the only bright spot in this entire rotation. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to like. Lodolo was supposed to be good. He's been horrible. Like, what else do you like in this rotation? The brief stint of Nick Martinez? Like, what do you like with this rotation? They don't have anything. So I don't know who's going to pitch for this team. Like, Ashcraft's out for the year. Williamson's out. Like, I don't know what they're going to do. So there are rumors that they might be calling up a AAA guy. They might be calling up Julian Aguilar to pitch. So if you might be using a guy in his MLB debut against Gausman off a good start against the Angels, I'll go with Gausman. Give me the Blue Jays -0.5 a run in the first 5 as my lock. For my dog, there were a couple of choices here. It's either going to be the White Sox, and I'm going to tail your play, And we actually didn't jinx anything. I know that sometimes it's an issue on the NBA show.
Yeah.
We did both win the A's as our
Yeah.
dog play in the last episode. I thought about Miami, but I don't trust them enough, and I don't know who's pitching. So I can't really take Miami not knowing who's pitching. I think I'm going to agree with you. I think I am going to go with – it's either going to be Wu first 5 or it's going to be Cannon first 5. Give me Cannon first 5 in this one. I just don't really know what to expect from the Giants offensively, who've been kind of slumping a bit recently. They lost 3-4 to Atlanta. They haven't looked great against Oakland. I don't really like the current form, and we know the Giants have been hovering around 500 the entire year. They win some games in a row, then they fall off a cliff, and they just repeat this cycle over and over again. So I'm going to go with the White Sox first 5 as well on the money line. I just actually think Cannon's decent. He might not be great. He might not be bad. That might be good enough. So I'll go with the White Sox first 5 money line in this one as my dog as well. Now, for the home run pick, Lonte, I'm going to ask you, what's your home run pick for the show?
I'm going with Francisco Lindor, man. If you look at Francisco Lindor over his past, I think over the past month, I mean, he's had a hit in probably, I think, like 12 straight games. He's hit 2 home runs in 2 of his last 5. So I think he's seeing the plate well. We obviously don't like Trevor Rogers on the mound. So I think Lindor can have a good showing here. Hopefully he can get over. I thought about going with Brandon Lowe as well for Tampa, but I went with Lindor just because of the higher, I guess the higher rate that he's going to be able to. Yeah, he's at the top of the lineup basically, so he'll probably get more at bats. And I don't trust Rogers. I don't trust Rogers at all. So I'm going to go with Francisco Lindor to hit a dinger tomorrow.
Okay, I'm trying to think of who I want to go with here. Which player do I want to fade here? Because I feel like if I was going to, I'm tempted by taking somebody on Seattle because of how many home run Stone's allowed. But knowing Seattle, one guy's going to hit home run. I have to guess who the one guy is. So that's going to be really annoying. I'm not going to go with Bradley. I think Bradley could give up a couple home runs, but I don't know if I want to go with it. I mean, Vlad's been incredible if I want to go for a blind option on him. But I don't trust Seattle enough. I thought about Raleigh, but I don't think I can do it. I might just go back to the well here. I'll go with the guy in good form. Give me Vlad Jr. He's just been too solid. I can't really go against him. I really wanted to pull the trigger fading Stone. I just can't do it because Seattle is just an eyesore to watch swing the bat. I just can't do it. So give me Vlad, who's been really good. And it's a pretty chalky play. And I don't know who's pitching for the Reds. Might be, once again, a guy making his MLB debut, which is probably not a good sign. I'll lean to Vlad Jr. I gave him out a couple weeks ago against the Yankees. He ended up cashing, so he's done well for me in the past. I'll go back to him on this one. Either way, though, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. A pretty quick episode, only about 42 minutes.
We usually do that.
we only have 10 games. So usually for a 15-game slate, we're probably at an hour and change. But I like to believe we have the faster shows on the network. I think we actually make good time. Volante, before we officially end the show, anything you want to tell the people where they can find you or just something you're working on?
No, not at all, man. I'm just ready to get back on track for this week. Been a bad weekend all around. So hopefully I got all that bad juju out of the way going into football season and down the home stretch for the MLB, man. So yeah, good luck to everybody. Thanks to everybody in the chat. That's about it, man. I hope everybody enjoys their Sunday night.
Yeah, of course we'll be back tomorrow for another MLB episode. Who's on the show? I have no idea. So don't ask me. Ask Munaf if you want to know. I got no idea. Point is, though, we're back once again tomorrow at 5. And until next time, you can find me on Twitter at Reichel Radio. Find me on the NBA show, the WNBA show as well. Hit the lock. Shout out to Mag McGork going under her 8.5 rebounds. And you can also find me on the tennis show. 2 episodes today. So if you want some thoughts on tennis, I have a couple episodes prepped. Until next time, though, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.